So dress baggy, long shorts as much as you can. And then tomorrow, 10 and 2 is... There it is. Oh, it's back. Tomorrow's Jersey Day, so show up with jerseys. September 28th is a volleyball tailgate. So before the volleyball game on September 28th, a bunch of people will show up, and there's going to be food outside of the gym. So that should be pretty dope. And then today for chapel, Most is going to be presenting for chapel, so give it up for them.
Okay, let me see if this is working. PowerPoint, maybe. This is us, the Missions Outreach Student Team. So, I'm just here to give a few announcements before we really get started. So our first announcement is, so not today, but a week from today, the Missions Committee is putting on an event which is called the Amazing Race. And so we're going to a place in North KC called Avant. Sam knows about Avant. It's a missions organization, and we're going to stay there Friday night. But the main event is Saturday. We're going to go through City Market and other places kind of in that area, and we're going to go around, do a bunch of fun activities. I love City Market. If you haven't been, you should go. I just want to go grocery shopping, and I'm also going to do the activities. That will be fun. So it's we're going to have a couple of teams, and I'm not actually sure if it's whoever finishes the activities first or whoever finishes them the best, but there's some sort of competition going on there. So if you want to join us, just let Dr. Paxton know, and that will be Friday evening and into Saturday. And then my next announcement is about our Blessing Day, which is this Wednesday. So let me see. Maybe? There we go. We're doing it with Salt and Light Ministries. So Salt and Light Ministries, this is them. They set up events every Wednesday at an apartment building in the area. It's not known to be the nicest neighborhood, so that's why they're called Salt and Light, just wanting to bring the light of the gospel into that neighborhood. And so this Wednesday at 5:20, they'll pick us up. They have their own bus. They'll pick us up at 5:30 in Warrior Cafe. But these are some pictures of what we'll be doing. We'll be joining their event. Hello. Point at stealing? Where am I pointing? To you? Thank you. And it's still not going. Oh, okay, there you go. So school teachers David and Rebecca McCorn are the ones who run it. So there's Rebecca there. She's got this little person helping her with the chairs there. This little guy helping make the hot dogs. And David is there. Oops, no, I went too far. David is there passing out the hot dogs. And so they have lots of activities there. So they're sitting down, kind of chatting together. They're doing some sidewalk chalk there. They're doing some limbo. They're playing some basketball. Some guys are getting their hair cut. This guy is having the time of his life in that sack race. She's a little what are we doing? But he's having a lot of fun. And then they're also, that's a book called, I believe, The Gift of God. So they also do Bible studies with the kids. So it's just what we're going to do this Wednesday. We're just going to go join them for their event because we just want to bless them, encourage them in their ministry by all of us going, playing with the kids, seeing what they do and knowing how to pray for them after we've seen it. But also, it's just an encouragement for them to have people come having fun with the kids. So that is that. That's what we'll get to next. But those are all my announcements. So Layla will come up and tell you guys a little bit about what the Missions Committee is.
For those of you who don't know, I'm Layla. I'm the president of the Most team this year. So we are the Missions Outreach Student Team. That's what MOST stands for. We plan Haystack prayer meetings on Thursday nights, blessing days throughout the semester, and the Missions Conference in January. We do these things so that you guys can learn from people already in ministry and get connected. Some students really enjoyed those opportunities. And our mission is to inspire and equip students to glorify God through local and foreign missions. My goal is to create an awareness of the different aspects of missions and the importance of prayer. Since my time at Calvary and on this team, I have learned how encouragement through prayer presses missionaries on and continue serving. We hear back from the alumni and are blessed to have those connections. So we just reach out to the alumni, hear from them what they're doing, get their newsletters, and that's super cool. And then we have prayer meetings to pray for them, so that's super cool too. So we're going to have Zakoya now talk about what Haystack is exactly.
Okay, so Haystack Prayer Meeting is kind of the missions team's biggest, I guess, event. And so we hold that every Thursday at 7 p.m. And we are praying for our alumni missionaries. And so kind of the question becomes, so why do we hold a prayer meeting to pray for people we might not have ever met, even though they graduated from Calvary before us? And so we're going to go, and we're not only going to pray, we all have to pray together at the same time. Like, why are we doing that? So there's a lot of reasons, but one thing I thought of when answering this question is Psalm 65. Psalm 65 verse 2 says, "O you who hear prayer, to you all flesh will come." Verse 4 says, "Blessed is the man you choose and cause to approach you, that he may dwell in your courts. We shall be satisfied with the goodness of your house, of your holy temple. By awesome deeds and righteousness you will answer us, O God of our salvation, you who are the confidence of all the ends of the earth." So the psalmist here is wanting to approach God because all humanity, we can ask and ask him for big things, and we come before him. It says the man wants to approach God. He wants to dwell in his courts. And when we think about the temple that was back then in Israel, it was a place where all of Israel went together. God was gathering them together to worship him together. So that's one of the reasons why we have a prayer meeting that's together. It talks about God answering by awesome deeds in righteousness because he's the God of our salvation. And so we think, what is the most difficult thing we can ask God for? You know, we can ask God for help with schoolwork. We can ask God for help with our families. We can ask God for financial help. And all of those things are very big and difficult things. But the most difficult thing in the world is saving a soul. And we know that because God had to come down from heaven to die to save souls. And so when we pray for missions, we're asking for something really wild. We're asking for God to completely transform a person from being dead in their sins to being alive in Christ. And so that's why we come together and pray for missions, because we're praying for something really, really big, and we're praying together to the God who hears and is able to accomplish all that. So that's our prayer meeting on Thursday nights at 7, so we hope to see you there. And now Laura is going to talk to us a little bit about why missions.
Hello. So, yeah. A passage that I thought really applied to this whole day is from 2 Corinthians 6, verses 3 through 6. "We put no obstacle in anyone's way, so that no fault may be found with our ministry. But as servants of God, we commend ourselves in every way, by great endurance in afflictions, hardships, calamities, beatings, imprisonments, riots, labors, sleepless nights, hunger, by purity, knowledge, patience, kindness, the Holy Spirit, and genuine love." So, I mean, we all are working to honor God. At least I hope so. We're all believers. We're attending Bible college, hopefully in a way to honor God. And we are working to try to bring people to the gospel. That's why we have Christian ministries, to reach out to those who need a little bit help with their faith, to bring the gospel to them if they're already believers and encourage them in faith, or to those who have never heard the gospel or have heard but just haven't accepted it. We are trying to bring people to the gospel constantly. And if we are wanting to imitate Paul as he imitates Christ, from this passage, we are to try to put no obstacle in anyone's way that might prevent them from accepting the gospel. We are to do everything that we can so that people might come to Christ. We are to do this despite all the hardships that are mentioned. Afflictions, hardships, calamities, imprisonments, riots, very difficult circumstances. We are to share the gospel and to try to bring people to the gospel despite whatever opposition might come against us. And this is a very tough and serious passage of like, wow, okay, somebody's trying to kill me. I'm still supposed to share the gospel? Yes. My family doesn't like me because I believe in something else. I will lose my job if I share the gospel with my coworkers. I will never I'll be kicked out of the country if I share the gospel. Persecution doesn't have to be violent, but still opposition to the gospel. And we are to share the gospel and to try to get as many people as we can to accept the gospel despite all of that. The hurdles we endure for the gospel will happen regardless of what country, regardless of what state you are in, regardless of what county. I don't care your address. You can live in the middle of the rural area. You can live in the middle of Kansas City. You will face opposition to the gospel if you are trying to share it. And so I don't really need to tell you the importance of the gospel. And despite all the opposition I've just talked about, we are still to share the gospel because you and I both have personally experienced the saving power of Jesus. We've had a personal relationship with Jesus, and we know how important he is. And we know how important it is for other people to hear about him, for other people to accept him and experience him. So this passage is just a reminder that we should continue to work hard in ministry, regardless of where we're at, despite any opposition, to put no obstacle in a person's way that no fault may be found in our ministry as servants of God. So now we are going to hear about Julie and the way she specifically served this summer.
Hi, guys. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Julie Vanderwoudy. Yes, it is. And I had the opportunity of going to Croatia on a short-term missions trip this summer, so I'm going to share about it. So to start, I'm just going to introduce you to the team. You'll see up there the Price family. They go to my church, Crossway Bible Church. And so I kind of found out about this through mostly Pam, because she kept asking me to go. Fun fact, I'm Ariella's piano teacher, so I see them a lot. But Todd has done Bible translation work all over Europe. I think they've lived in Bosnia, Croatia, Hungary, a lot of places. But he's been working in Bible translation, and so they lived over there for a while, and they have been going back and taking teams every year. In the middle, you'll see Josiah and Lewis. They are a couple young adults from my church. Lewis was an intern there. Fun fact, they're sitting on a little ledge in a castle in Croatia. That's so exciting. Less exciting, that's me and Vivian in an airport. It's fine, but it's just the Chicago one. And we're just a couple young adults from the church as well. And so the trip was mostly through my church, Crossway Bible Church, but also through Pioneers, which is the Price family's missions organization, basically. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the people group that we were ministering to. Just so I know, who here has heard of the Roma? Does anyone know? Okay, so a few. I had heard literally nothing, so I'm going to assume you don't know much about them either. So I'm going to read it over here. Okay, so the Roma are a people group found all around the world. They're often ostracized by their surrounding areas. That picture kind of down below, that's a very small, bad picture I took while I was there of their villages. It's really interesting. You're kind of in Seasock, the town where we were staying, and honestly, like, the houses are kind of nice. It's like, whoa, I'm in Europe. And then you drive 2 more minutes, and, like, it's beaten down because these people just don't have the same opportunities. They're literally hated by the Croatians surrounding them. But they're all across Europe. There's some in America. They're all over the world. They often have their own cultures and dialects separate from the areas surrounding them. For example, we went to 2 separate villages. I could be getting this opposite, but I think it was the larger one. They spoke a dialect called Ludari. The smaller one, they spoke one called Bajosh. They still speak Croatian, but like you'll notice the really little kids maybe only know their dialect. They don't even know Croatian. And they have been referred to as gypsies. So if you think of honestly the stereotypes surrounding like gypsies and caravans traveling throughout Europe and doing fortune telling and stuff, that's a part of their history. But as a result of that, since they never had a home, really like a home country, they were seen as suspicious and people didn't like them. There's so much to do with their history, which I won't get into, but what you need to know is basically they're extremely ostracized and people don't like them. Okay, there's a lot here. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what we did. So up there you'll see VBS number 1. That was in the bigger village that we went to, which I think they spoke Ludari. So we would just lay a big old tarp out and have the kids on there. It was really interesting. It was literally just the day before us. Oh, and also there were 2 other missionary couples that were there as well. Andy and Lim, and then Željka and Sergej. And Željka and Sergej are Croatian, and so they did most of the like upfront stuff for the VBS because obviously they speak Croatian, and the dialects as well. So we would be there. We were teaching them a verse, I think, in that thing. VBS number 2, that's a smaller village we went to, and we did 3 days of VBS in the first one, 2 days in the second one. The last few days, we did a teen camp. So we brought some of the teens, with their parents' permission, to our ministry house, and we did games with them. Right there, they're reading. So out loud, we would have like the speakers going with their dialect being read of like a passage, and they would read along to it. So that's what they're doing right there. In the middle, you'll see just, we did crafts with them, we would play with them, we would sing with them. It's just VBS, right? Like it's just VBS in a different country. So it's different, but a lot of things transfer over and it's super fun. And then down in the corner, you'll see the Bible translating. So what Todd has been working on for a long time is they're trying to translate the Bible into the 2 different dialects of these 2 Roma villages and many other ones as well. But so right there, that little girl is holding Luca, or the Gospel of Luke, in her own dialect. And so we were able to give one of those as well as this book of Bible stories, kind of like a kid's Bible, to each and every family in both of those villages, which was super cool. Todd and some of the other people were able to kind of walk them through how that works. So yeah, it was super fun. It was definitely a busy week, but we did a lot. Oh, I need to put it up there. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Okay, we got there. Okay, so why I went. I'll explain these points because it's very hard to describe in just a few, but it was a new experience, it was a good opportunity, and God's calling. So for those of you who know me, you may know that I'm maybe not the most adventurous person in the entire world. I love stability, I love safety, I love having control. This is not what this trip was by any means. And so when Pam asked me, I was like, okay, I'll pray about it, lol. And I said that being like, okay, I'll pray about it, God will tell me no, it'll be great. And that didn't happen, obviously. And so I was praying about it, and for some reason, I just kept praying about it. And I wasn't really sure why, but eventually I just kind of took the leap of faith, and I bought the plane ticket, and I was going to go. And then there was, the morning of my flight, I'm like, what am I doing? But then it was fine. It was literally fine. I didn't get, lost in Europe or anything. I'm here, yay. So that's kind of why I went. It was mostly just God kind of telling me, hey, go, and then I did it. Some takeaways. Oh, and also fun fact, we got to tour Zagreb in the last day, and so those pictures up there are from the big city Zagreb, which is so cool. So takeaways. The people are a lot more receptive than you might expect. I think there's definitely a lot of stereotypes with short-term mission trips, as there should be in some ways, but if they're done well, the people are actually really, really excited. And it was so cool to see how like people want truth, people want to know, and like you literally have the truth, which is insane. And then the second thing, it's just that kids ministry is fun everywhere. I have loved VBS for like my whole life. I did a VBS at my church like 2 weeks after I got back from Croatia, which was crazy, but so fun, right? And so it's really cool to see how your passions are gonna transfer. Like my passion for kids and for VBS transferred so easily over into Europe. I couldn't speak their language. I maybe didn't know how to communicate in the same way, but you can show a kid that you love them without language, you know? I texted Pam a couple days ago asking for prayer requests, and so this is what she has. So they really need a church planting team in CSOC to serve in those Roma villages. The two missionary couples that I mentioned, they live probably like 45 minutes to an hour away in a different, larger Roma village. And so they're serving there, they're doing great things, they are discipling people, but in the ones that we went to, there's just not enough missionaries to go around, honestly. And so they need missionaries to be there and be consistent and follow up with these people a lot. So that's number one. And then the other one is translators to finish the New Testament in the Roma dialects. I think they just have Luke done right now, and I think they're going to start in Bayash, is what Pam said. So they just need to find the right translators. It's not an easy process because you need people that speak the language, you need locals, and it's a dialect, so there's a lot of nuances with that. And so it's a big project, but they're making really good progress, so please pray that that is done. So there it is. That's my trip to Croatia. If you have questions, you can always ask me later, but yeah, I hope it was encouraging.
Thank you. All right. Well, give it up for Julie. That was awesome. Yeah, that's my name. It's on the board. Okay, my name is Declan Patrick Colleen. Thanks. Appreciate it. I went to Cologne, Germany. Do you want me to do this in German or no? Probably not. Okay, I'll do it in German. So I went to Cologne. I had actually previously gone to Berlin the summer before, and I learned a lot, and God taught me a lot from that trip. And so I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to go back. I went back with people whom I connected with in Berlin. And so it's not the same organization, but I connected with people whom I've previously done ministry with. So, Cologne. I went to Cologne, Germany. So do you guys know where Cologne is in Germany? Probably not. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, the biggest thing about like what puts it on the map is the Dome Cathedral. The Dome Cathedral is a massive Roman Catholic cathedral that was, I think it took, I want to say like 800 years to build. And it's Gothic architecture and everything. It's gorgeous. When I stood at the base of it and I looked up, I'm like, okay, all right. Catholics 1, Protestants 0. Anyway, and I really, really loved the city. It's a gorgeous city. European cities are absolutely gorgeous. But it's kind of in the west part of Germany. And it is a landing spot for a lot of immigrants. So a lot of Muslim immigrants, people from Afghanistan, Syria, all that area. That's the landing spot for a lot of immigrants. So who did I go with? So I went specifically with Eurolink. They're kind of like an evangelism vision trip, I guess, if that's the way you want to say it. And so basically what it is last year, the year before the one that I did this year, they had 4 places in Europe that you would go. So I think it was like You started off in Berlin, then you went to Italy, then you went to Romania, and then you ended up, I want to say like Czech Republic, something like that. And so it was like 4 weeks throughout Europe, and you're doing street evangelism. You're learning about how to share the gospel. You're learning about apologetics. You're learning about how to defend your faith. And you're learning about other cultures as well. But they are also loosely associated with Reliant. Now, the people I partnered with, his name is Matteo. He's a great, great guy. He has 3 amazing kids, and Katie, his wife, they've been there for, I think, probably 5 years now, and they've been doing a lot of work. He might have been there longer. I apologize, Matteo, if I got that timeline wrong, but yeah, they've been in Cologne, and they've been really, really laboring. And the thing about the spiritual nature in Germany is it's extremely dead. They haven't really gotten that much fruit from the specific church planting method. But lately, other methods have come up to which they have used, and they're seeing fruit from that finally. So praise God for that. Okay. Next. Okay, what did I do in Cologne? I ate a lot of food. And the food was absolutely delicious, and that's why I'm going back. No, I'm just kidding. What we did is for 2 weeks, we would go and we'd spend some time in worship and in prayer and in learning things on how to better share the gospel with people. And then we'd go out 2 by 2, and we'd walk up to people and just share the gospel with them. Now, the place to which I was, Cologne, Germany, again, is that landing spot for a lot of immigrants, a lot of Muslim immigrants. And so there's people from Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, all over in that specific neighborhood where I was based. And so I want to say 80% of the time, the people who I'm actually talking to are going to be Muslim. And so it actually ended up being somewhat of an exposure to that ministry even more. I had previously done that in Berlin, but it was a very, very small taste of what that looked like. But it was pretty exclusive this time. I did have conversations with a lot of native Germans, and man, they are really smart. And so you've got to really know your philosophy and your theology in order to properly defend what you believe about the Christian faith with a German, but with Muslims, it's primarily talking about the nature of God, and you're building a relationship with them, and yeah. So that delicious food is what is called doner kebab, and so a kebab is like, if you've ever had Greek food, a kebab is like a sandwich. It's in pita. It's like lamb and lettuce and all that. It's really good. This is like the Turkish version of that. It is so much better. I don't care what anyone says. It is so much better because it has more sauces. It's got more salad in there, and it's just like filled to the brim with meat. It was so good. If you would ask the team how many times I got it literally every day. I have a problem. Anyway, so that Bible is in Persian, so in Farsi, and so we'd be giving those out to people from Afghanistan and from people who speak Farsi in the neighborhood that we're going to. I actually partnered with a guy who was from Afghanistan, who came to faith in Christ, and he had a very, very amazing testimony on how the God in Islam is not a personal God. He's not a personal God at all. But our God is personal, and he meets us where we're at. And that was his problem. In order to speak to God in Islam, you have to speak Arabic. But to us, who do we speak to God in? In our own language. So we can speak to God in German, which would probably be better and more cooler. We can speak to God in English. We can speak to God in Arabic. We can speak to God in Farsi. But he came to faith knowing that he can speak to God in his own language because he didn't speak Arabic. And so that was a problem. But he came to faith knowing that he could speak to God in his own language. Now that, all right, how do I, this is going to be a hot button issue. All right, here we go. That is a Free Palestine protest camp that I walked into on a university campus. I went in with a guy from Ohio. His name is Ethan. He's great. I pray for him every day. Really hope that he joins the mission field. But we went to the university campus in the Cologne University campus, and we saw this, and we're like, you know what? Let's walk in and see what happens. And so we walk in, and immediately they're doing like chants. They're like free Palestine all the way. And I'm keeping my mouth shut. I'm like, okay, all right, okay, fair enough. And so I go in, and I go up and I walk to this girl Rebecca, and I'm like, so well, what are you guys doing here? What's the purpose of this? And they're like, don't you know what's going on? There's like a lot of like bad things going on. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, okay, well, why is it wrong? And then I immediately went to like existential morality questions. And at the end of the conversation, I convinced her that Christ was Lord. And then I continued to pray for her that she comes to faith. But it was just the simple fact that I walked into a place which would have been scary, which would have been a little terrifying, God used. And I think it's really, really incredible. And so I walked in, and then we also went to mosques. The second biggest mosque in all of Europe is in Cologne, Germany. And I walked in there, and I had conversations with a lot of people about God. We had conversations, and we planted a lot of seeds. It is exactly what the book of Acts was. It was 2 by 2 going and sharing the gospel, walking up to people, doing things that are extremely uncomfortable, but it's for the sake of people coming to eternal life. It was not easy. All right, what's next? And this is what I learned. And this has pricked me to the heart. If you look at that, so Latin America, North America, Europe, China, all that, there are a lot of people who have heard about Jesus, heard about the gospel, who know about it and willfully reject it. Notice how the followers of Jesus is extremely small. That's pretty sad. But if you look at India and you look at Muslim majority countries, there's a massive unreached people group there. Now, what is unique in particular to Europe is because of the situation that's going on in Syria and in the Middle East and all the war that's going on, they're immigrating and they're going through Greece. That's a stopping point that they normally go. But they also go throughout Europe and they land in Germany. There are unreached people groups, with one of the biggest unreached people groups, the Muslim majority countries, are landing in Germany. And so normally what it would have been in order to go and share the gospel is you would go to Syria, Saudi Arabia, or these places, Iraq or Afghanistan, and you'd learn their language, and you would kind of blend in and secretly share the gospel with people. But now, you can just go to Germany, and that same people are there. And so this is unprecedented. This is a massive need that Germany has opened up a new door to missions that I think a lot of people need to think about, need to ponder. Europe is a massive mission field that has unlocked a unreached people group that has a massive need. And so when I heard about this, I was almost convinced. I'm like, God, I think you might be calling me to this. And I'm still convinced. And I think that this is the direction where God might have me. I went primarily because I have a deep longing and affection for Christ and a desire to share the gospel. That is my utmost conviction and desire. But also, I had lived in Germany previously, and I speak the language, and I understand German culture and everything, and I just love Germany. I love Germany so much. I'm very grateful for Germany and how it's impacted my life. But I went because of just that longing to. When I first lived in Germany, I wasn't following Jesus. But now that I am following Jesus, it's a different story. I long to go there and go back. Now that I am truly following Christ. There's a similar story to that. St. Patrick has that story. He went as a slave into Ireland. He was taken as a slave, and he came to faith. And then eventually he made his way back to what is now England. And then even though he was taken as a slave and everything, God called him back. And I think that might be happening to me. So that was my trip. It was a lot. A lot of it I can't necessarily show because there are some people that their identity needs to stay private for certain reasons that I can't really get into. But just pray for them that they would continue to labor and share the gospel. Prayer requests. Okay, so this is low-key kind of embarrassing. Julie asked for prayer requests for them, so, but it's fine. So I guess we'll pray for me. But yeah, that God would help me graduate. I would really love it if you guys could pray for that. Yeah, this is my last year, so please. Whoa, that was loud. Please help me and walk alongside me as I do my last year, and then pray that God would give me guidance and wisdom. That if it is this specific missionary task that He has for me, which I'm quite convinced it is, that God would make that clear and He would provide for me the right direction. And so yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I appreciate the time that you gave, and thank you very much.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to split up into prayer groups and just pray for these people that both Declan and Julie had the opportunity to go and speak to and talk to. So we're going to break up into prayer groups and pray for them. And then also Zakoya will be sitting at the chapel table with the sign-up for our blessing day on Wednesday. So if you're interested, there'll be a sign-up sheet after chapel. And then once you guys are done praying, you guys are dismissed. So.